Hello, and welcome to Spotlight. This is a program that brings you a spotlight on local musicians here in the KCSB residence halls, the KCSB campus, and the greater Isla Vista community. I'm Ryan Scibetta. With me here in studio is Quill. Our featured spotlight today is Rohan Katpally, a piano and viola player. You're about to hear him go for 55 minutes, so buckle your seatbelts. This is a fantastic musician and a fantastic person who I bet you can't wait to hear. Well, without further ado, here's the recording we recorded. Actually, I will do one further ado. I'll tell you where the heck we are for legal reasons. You're listening to 770, 880 KJUC AM in the UCSB residence halls. I'm Ryan Scibetta, as I just said a minute and a half ago. This is the KJUC program for those of you listening, which is like the JV sort of learning curve for the big-time KCSB-FM studio. So if you hear us struggling a lot, just know that means we're succeeding. If we succeed, we succeed, and if we fail, we're succeeding. Just want to establish those priorities right now. If you're one of the people in charge listening to this recording, hello, and please don't fire us. All right, now without further ado, here's Rohan Katpally.
What's your name?
I'm Rohan. Do you want the last name as well?
Sure.
Okay, Rohan Katpally.
And who are you?
I guess I'm a first-year chemical engineering student and also a pianist and violist.
Violist? Like
Yes.
the viola?
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
So, yeah, that's me, I guess.
You're currently you're currently recorded on KCSB-FM, specifically KJUC AM right now.
Alright.
Say hello to the fans watching at home.
Alright. Hello, viewers. It's nice to be here, I guess.
Alright, so what's the first song you want to play?
So this is an arrangement of the 18th variation from Rachmaninoff's Rhapsody on a Theme by Paganini. It's usually played piano and violin, but I'll be covering both parts.
Fantastic. Alright, go for it. Wow. Oh wait, I'll stand back here.
So could you tell the people what song that was again?
Oh, right. So that was an arrangement of the 18th variation of Rachmaninoff's Rhapsody on a Theme by Paganini.
So isn't Paganini that guy who composed the most ridiculous, brutal arrangements for the violin?
Oh, yeah, he was. He was known as back when he was still a performer. He was thought to be he thought a lot of people in those times thought he sold his soul to the devil because of how well he played. So he was the one who wrote the famous Paganini Caprice number 24, which goes and that's actually the theme that the piece that I played was just based on. It's just that the theme is inverted, so instead of it's yeah. So yeah, that's a brief course on Paganini. Yeah.
What brought you to this piece specifically?
So over summer I traveled with an orchestra, not on piano, but I was on viola in the orchestra, and one of the pieces that we played was the full symphonic version of Rhapsody on a Theme by Paganini, and after that I just really fell in love with this particular variation just because it sounds really nice.
Is there anything you want to talk about this piece?
About this piece? Not particularly, except that I would recommend people to go give the whole thing a listen, because it's a very accessible classical piece, and as far as pieces go, it's 25 minutes total, which isn't a huge amount of your time. If you just want to listen to it while you go biking around campus, it's definitely one of the pieces that you can just do that with.
Fantastic. So what's the next song you want to play for us?
So the next song I'd like to play is it's a piece by Debussy, and I'm going to butcher the French really terribly right now. So, or actually, maybe I just won't. It's called The Sunken Cathedral in English, and it's based on a legend of a sunken cathedral in a bay in France, which I'm not exactly sure where it is, but it's supposed to be this mythical city that was buried underwater, kind of Atlantis-like, and this piece is basically inspired by that legend, and so it's supposed to kind of represent maybe you're sailing out on the ocean, and then it's a really foggy day, so you can't see too far ahead. Then you start hearing some church bells in the deep, and eventually the church rises up in all its grandeur, and then it fades away again. That's kind of the feel that the piece is going for.
Spooky. Fits our Halloween
yeah,
season.
Yes.
Take it away.
All right.
All right. What was the name of that piece again?
The Sunken Cathedral.
The Sunken Cathedral. Thank you very much.
So what brought you to the piece that you were just playing?
To the Sunken Cathedral? Yes?
Yeah.
Alright. I'd say one of the older students at my high school, he really enjoyed that piece, and it kind of grew on me over time as well, because we had a program at our last school called the Chamber Concert, where student groups could sign up to perform, and what he did for that one was the Sunken Cathedral. And I just thought it was so pretty that I knew I had to learn how to play it. Yeah.
How long have you been playing piano?
I've been playing for 12 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. So, it's been a while on this instrument, yeah.
How long have you been playing viola?
Viola, I've been playing for... This is 9 years now, so also quite a while. Yeah.
What's it like doing two different instruments?
Well, I'd say if you're trying to learn any instrument, piano is a great place to start because it gives you a layout for every other instrument that it's just extraordinarily helpful to like be able to visualize like what's happening on a piano when you're trying to learn another instrument, and like it's kind of used as a crutch almost, and then you can like fully like figure out everything you're doing on your next instrument. But other than that, I get asked a lot which one is my main instrument, which it's not exactly like, it's not a bad question to ask, it's just that for some people, including myself, it's not exactly that there's a main instrument, it's just that they're useful for different types of music. Yeah.
Is that why you play two different instruments that are so far apart?
Well, for piano, that was just because I asked to learn how to play it because I thought it was really cool. For viola, we were required to learn an instrument in high school. I wanted to learn cello because I think cellos are really cool. My mom said, like, no, that's too, like, hard to take around. If you're going to do a string instrument, do violin. And I was like, I'll choose neither. But I'm really glad I chose viola, actually, because there's a lot of cool stuff out there for viola.
Definitely. And nobody picks it. Because the violins take all the gosh darn credit.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of cool stuff on violin, too, but... yeah. Don't discredit violas.
That's the PSA for the day.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen and non-binary pals, have respect for your viola brethren.
Yeah. You get the actual interesting parts, too. At least harmonically.
How so?
Because first violins, second violins, they get, like, melody and, like, your standard harmonies. Violas are the ones that, like, sneak in, and then, like, there's, like, a difference between, like, the chord, like, and violas are usually going to be the ones that makes the difference between these two notes. They're going to be the ones that travel and make that interesting, like, emotional change happen, or, I guess, musical.
Yeah. You want to grab the viola now?
Oh, sure.
Oh, wait, you said you're going to play Halloween thing.
Oh, yes, I do have one thing, yeah. I think it suits the Halloween, or, like, spooky vibes in general. Or maybe not spooky, but just, like, it's good for wintertime.
Yeah. You want to go grab the viola while that's happening, and then play the Halloween one here, and then play the viola one?
Sure.
All right. Hello, we are back with Rohan Katpally, the Magic Piano Viola Wizard. We got a cool song for you today. What is that song?
So I have, wait, just to check, are we doing this one?
We're doing whichever one you want to do.
Alright.
This is the spotlight on you, Rohan.
Alright, so what I have here is, the second movement of Shostakovich's second piano concerto. It's not a very often heard piece, which I think is a shame because I think it's one of the most beautiful pieces out there. Yeah, anyway, I think it's very fitting for, I guess, since we're eventually going to be transitioning into winter after Halloween. When
this will be airing November 2nd. This, by the way, you're listening to KJUC AM 770-880, live in the UCSB residence halls. This particular clip is being pre-recorded in the lounge of the Anna Kappa Hall. I'm here with Rohan, and nobody else is in sight. We're using the grand piano provided to us. A couple people have come in with vending machine snacks, but other than that, it's been the peace and quiet that radio wants to get the high-quality transmissions from my Samsung Galaxy phone.
Alright.
Go for it. Spooky. I liked it.
Yeah. I thought it would fit very well with the general aesthetic of the time, of the season, I guess.
And though Halloween may be over, maybe November 2nd by the time this broadcast airs. Wait, I can't do math. It will be November 1st by the time this broadcast airs. But the spook will live forever in our hearts. So, what brought you to that song?
That was actually another one of my seniors from my high school. So, I guess one thing to note about music terminology, when a piece is called a concerto, that means that, like, for example, if you hear a violin concerto, that means that a violin is a solo instrument, and then you've got a backup in the form of an orchestra. If you hear violin sonata, though, that usually means either it'll say, like, sonata for solo violin, in which case it's just the violin playing by themselves, or the violin is accompanied by a piano. So the piece that I played was a piano concerto, which means it's usually played with an orchestra behind me. So I promise this is all important. So basically, I played in the orchestra for this piece when one of my seniors was playing the piano part, and I was just blown away by it, just how beautiful it was the first time I heard it. So to everyone who's listening, I would definitely recommend you go listen to the actual version on YouTube and use a speaker, because that's really going to bring out those bassy notes, which you really want in this piece. But yeah, that's how I came across that one.
You're talking a lot about your high school experience as an orchestra.
Yeah.
What high school did you go to?
I went to Mountain View High School in the Bay Area.
Mountain View High School?
Yes.
Did that just have like a super good orchestra program, or was it more your personal experience?
I think that might have been more of my personal experience, because I got super involved in the music program there. So I believe earlier I mentioned like a chamber concert where student groups get to perform. So for the last 2 years of my time in high school, I ran that concert, and I would say like that's really what like helped me get really involved in the music program there. Just like being able to see all the work people did into like creating these like small groups of people who would really wanted to come together and create something beautiful. Yeah.
What led you to running that concert in the first place?
So there's usually 2 people who run the concert, and it's almost kind of like a hereditary thing. Like, the person who's in charge picks the next person, and you don't really refuse that. Like, if you get picked, you're doing it. So, the previous viola section leader, when she graduated, she was like, yeah, you're gonna start doing this next.
And you just had no choice in the matter?
I mean, essentially, like, you can refuse, but then, like, everyone's like, why would you do that? It's such a fun thing.
So it's like golden handcuffs.
Yeah, kind of.
Get that Bay Area lingo in. Us Bay Area kids.
Yes.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
Just alienate the entire Santa Barbara community.
Mm-hmm. That's a wonderful way to go about this. Yeah.
We're professionals here. I think I've said we're professionals here every single episode so far. This is the 4th episode we've done, and
are you gonna make this a motif?
Every single, I hope not, because every time I say it, it ends up being because we're doing something extremely unprofessional, either with a technical problem,
You'd totally make a motif, just like every single one. We're all professionals
here. I am totally getting paid big bucks to do all this. Because you know, when you think mountains of cash, you think community radio.
Mm-hmm.
Heck yeah. You're listening to 770, 880 AM, KJUC, live in the UCSB residence halls. I'm Ryan Scibetta. With me in the studio is Quill. This is a pre-recorded section with Rohan Katpally, piano viola extraordinaire. We're recording this in the lounge of the Anacapa Commons, the Anacapa residence hall. So when we say live in the residence halls, the half of that is true. Yeah. I guess the other half's too true as well, because it will be live playing. Just this particular, the words you're hearing are words of someone who does not exist anymore. As in, or this is the words of.
Are you gonna bring up like the whole like philosophical thing?
Heck yeah. The Ryan you know is dead. The Ryan who exists now is Ryan from 3 days in the future. And that's very spooky. It's Halloween time, even though it's November. Even though it's not November, it's October right now. But it's November once you hear these words.
If you're still in the spooky mood, there is... see, I don't have the whole thing for this one because I never finished learning it, but everyone else should absolutely go check it out. I can play the first part, and then it's called Danse Macabre by Saint Song.
Hi there, Ryan from the future here. I'd just like to apologize for the actions by Ryan in the past. That's all. Back to your regularly scheduled programming.
And it's definitely a fun, spooky piece. So, if you want, I can do that one.
Let's hear the first part. Heck yeah.
So
It went from like, that's a nice steady tone to like, da-da!
Yeah. Anyway, it's a great piece, Danse Macabre by Saint Song. You should absolutely go listen to it if you're still in a spooky mood. Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned earlier that you're a piano and viola player.
Yes, I am.
Could we hear some of the viola?
Sure. Yes.
Fantastic. Yeah. When we come back, we will have some viola goodness for you. Stay tuned. Let's get this viola goodness.
Great. Alright. Should I do an introduction for this? Or?
Yeah, that'd be great.
So this is, I guess, a small bit of Shostakovich's Sonata for Viola and Piano. If you remember the name Shostakovich, it was the same guy who wrote that piano concerto I just played. I just like his stuff. I think he's really angsty and great. All you viola performance majors out there, please don't kill me. Like, I know this is not up to conservatory standards.
Don't sell yourself short. You're a gosh darn piano viola wizard. I'm standing by that.
Alright.
All you viola majors out there, if this isn't perfect, go ahead and murder Rohan.
Oh dear, okay, that's quite a bit of pressure.
I think that I can't say that on community radio. Don't murder anyone. Murder's bad. Just politely disagree. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please don't hurt my
And speaking of polite disagreements, here's the viola.
Alright. Okay. So, yeah, and I really don't want to run overtime as well.
You're listening to 770 880 KJUC AM in the UCSB residence halls. I'm Ryan Scibetta. With me in the studio is Quill Sang. Who you're just listening to was Rohan Katpally. We're going to have one more song by him before we move on to the B side of our program. The program you're listening to is Spotlight, featuring a shining light on little-known artists in the UCSB and Isla Vista community. As I just said earlier, today's Spotlight is on Rohan Katpally. It's 7 o'clock, looks to be about 7:01. Weather's pretty bad, smoke in the air, but we have music. Let's hear that last song, and let's hear the last part of our interview, which was recorded Tuesday at about 2 o'clock p.m.
Yeah. Also, that next part is really hard, and I don't think I can...
I hear you on that. There were some cool effects you were doing there. Like, what was the, like, all the strings thing you were doing? Where you'd, like, and then you'd, like, muffle it really fast?
Oh, yeah, so, strings will want to resonate, like, after you've, like, for example, I've already stopped playing and it's still going a little after, right? Which I'm not sure how audible it is on radio, but ask one of your string playing friends, yeah.
It's got a hum.
Yeah.
It just goes for, like,
or
seconds
maybe,
and
like,
seconds. That's a better example.
That definitely, yeah. So, I've stopped playing now, and
now it's over.
Yeah. Yeah, so you do, if you want to, like, stop a sound, then you just, like, and then that takes care of it. Some of the other effects, nice thing about viola is that glissandos, that's what they're called when you go, like, when you slide. They're a lot easier on viola than on, or, well, not easier, but they sound nicer on violas. So that's kind of what I was doing when I was doing this part. Versus on piano, that would just sound like, which it's not the same effect.
Yeah.
The other way you might know what glissandos are is it's the only fun thing about playing trombone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 trombones.
Yeah. You get so much for, like, they're a pretty good instrument. But yeah, that is, let's see, other stuff you can do on this, this part gets a little into physics, but when you play a string, it's vibrating along its whole length, but if you place your finger lightly at the halfway mark, then it will make a sound exactly an octave above, and you can actually do that in a bunch of other places. So for example, if you go a third of the way up the string, it goes even higher, fourth of the way up the string. Yeah, anyway, that just has to do with, like, physics of waves, which this is a music show, not a physics show, so ignore that.
This is an educational channel.
Oh, okay.
Let's hear about the physics of waves.
Okay, well, I am not well educated on this because I am yet a freshman, but basically, what sounds good to you in music is entirely based on whether okay, well, actually, I should first start with, like, sounds are, of course, like, waves in the air, right? So, the A string on my viola, which is that one, that has a frequency of 440 hertz, or cycles per second. Basically, it vibrates 440 times per second. And if I want to go an octave up, which is, when you go up to the same note, but it sounds higher. It's like same, but higher, which is, that's probably the best way to describe it. What you're doing there is you're doubling the frequency of how many times the string vibrates. So when I go from here, that means my string is now vibrating at 880 hertz, so 880 times per second. And basically all of the nice intervals that we like in music are composed of nice ratios like 2 to 1, which is an octave, 3 to 2 is a fifth, 4 to 3 is a perfect fourth, 5 to 4, I believe, is a major third, and then minor third, and then other weird things, and then like you'll get to like this things that start to not sound nice.
That's not great.
Yeah, and that's just because like they're no longer nice ratios.
227 to 13.
Yeah, let's not. No. But yeah, so basically, one effect that you can do with that is if you want to go to twice the frequency on a viola string, you go to the halfway point and it will start vibrating twice as fast. And you can go to either of the third wave points, so either the high one, which I don't know how to find off the top of my head, or the low one.
Why is going to the low one make the string higher? Like on a guitar, I know going to the low one is different than going to the high one.
So this is using a technique called harmonics, where you're actually not pressing down on the string. If I press down, it makes that sound. If I lift up, and I will be honest that I don't actually know why this happens, but I don't know, look it up if you're curious.
All right. So, you have one more song for us, or is that it?
I mean, if you would like one more, I have one more.
Let's hear it.
On piano, not viola.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got our viola goodness for the day, and we got a history lesson.
Yeah.
All right. So what's this last song?
This one is from, so we usually don't talk about American composers, which is kind of a shame because there's a lot of really cool ones. This guy's name is Charles Ives, and he's known for some like pretty weird stuff, but this is on the lower end of weird, which is good because we want it to be actually palatable for people who listen to it. And this is from his second piano sonata. So if you remember, sonata means that it's only piano, which is called the Concord, Massachusetts Sonata. And each movement in each of the 4 movements is named after famous literary figures. So I believe one of the movements is named Hawthorne. Another one, I actually don't remember off the top of my head, but this one is named after the Alcotts. So I think the famous one is Louisa May Alcott, and I forget what she wrote, but was that Little Woman? I don't know, but yeah.
So the song title is The Alcotts.
The Alcotts.
All right.
The Concord, Massachusetts Piano Sonata.
You're listening to 770, 880 KJUC AM live in the UCSB residence halls. I'm Ryan Scibetta. With me in the studio is Quill sang, and playing the piano with wondrous virtuosity is Rohan Katpally. This is a pre-recorded section in the Anacapa Residence Hall Lounge. We got an audience of 2 now, so that's 2 more than whoever else is listening to this. This is the very last song from Rohan, The Alcotts. Take it away. Thank you very much.
You're listening to 770, 880 KJUC AM in the UCSB residence halls. I'm Ryan Scibetta. With me in the studio is Quill, and the artist you just finished listening to was Rohan Katpally.